Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ali Gohar. On the first half of the show, we'll focus on cricket. Pakistan's tour to New Zealand. They've been training in Auckland. Have the Pakistanis. The first T20 will be played on the 18th of December. And we all know Pakistan have suffered a major blow in that Babar Azam has been injured. So he'll be out of the T20s and possibly the first test match as Pakistan's captain and Pakistan's best batsman. It really is a massive, massive blow. Shadab Khan will lead the side instead of Babar Azam. And we all know, just purely as a batsman, Pakistan rely heavily on Babar, particularly in T20 cricket. He scored over 20% of their runs since he's debuted. So Pakistan will have to find a way to try and beat New Zealand in their conditions, because we all know they're a very dynamic T20 outfit. So we'll discuss that first, and then we'll move on to the women who are making their way to South Africa. The Pakistan women team to tour South Africa they'll make their way there in January. The tour will comprise 3 T20s and 3 one-day internationals. So good to see the women going abroad and playing against a quality team like South Africa. That'll be our second topic within the first segment, and then we'll talk about the Lankan Premier League. The final will get underway shortly. You can catch it live on PTV Sports. Jaffna will be playing Gaul. The Gaul Gladiators outplayed the Colombo Kings in the first semi-final, and Jaffna beat Dambulla in the second semi-final by 37 runs. So that should be a fun final to watch, and you can catch it on PTV Sports. And then our second segment will be the UEFA Champions League. There's a lot going on. Barcelona will play PSG. You can see there on your screen the Champions League round of 16 draw has come out. Chelsea will play Atletico Madrid, and the Reds to face the German Guns Leipzig. So that'll be very interesting to talk about. But first, we've got cricket with my guest in the studio and on Skype. First, my guest in the studio, sports expert, Mr. Ali Mehdi. Ali, Assalamu alaikum.
Malaikum salam, Ali.
Great to have you on.
Likewise.
And on Skype, we've been joined by senior cricket expert, Leena Aziz. Leena, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Both the Alis, how are you guys? Hope all is good. And loads of brilliant cricket coming on to keep us all glued to our screens, huh?
Yeah. I still have to do other things, Leena, but like you say, your cricket's a huge distraction for both of us. So yeah, have to get those other things out of the way, and then I'll try to enjoy as much cricket as I can. And as you said, there's a lot going on, and we'll begin with Pakistan and New Zealand. Ali, major blow to Pakistan, losing their captain, losing their best batsman. So Shadab Khan has to take over. I mean, it was going to be difficult anyway. Now it's going to be even tougher.
It's going to be extremely tough. Look, going to New Zealand on a huge high right now, and they're on a crest right now. They've been brilliant. They've been phenomenal in the tests, but also in the T20s right now. I mean, they were extremely good against the West Indies, and that form of momentum they're carrying, Ali. If you look over the past 1 year, New Zealand have been the real dark horses. In fact, I think they've been the best team in the world over the past 1 year. Reason being is because they've been phenomenal at home. They're right now on decimal points right behind Australia. T20s, they've been done extremely well against the West Indies too, and they come into with real hot form coming into this series. They won't have Kane Williamson in the first T20, but
they won't have Ferguson either.
They won't have Ferguson, and I believe Colin de Granham is also injured too. So yes, they do not have some of their big guns, but the important thing is they've got an extremely good core right now. They've got their other guns are fit, and at the same time, playing against a slightly weak Pakistan because no Babar Azam. Shadab Khan is also not injured, is not fully fit right now. I don't think it's been fully confirmed whether he's going to lead this side too. So Pakistan have their own set of problems too, and we really don't know who they're going to play going forward in this the match starting tomorrow.
Leena, the fact that Pakistan don't have Babar Azam, and the fact that and it would be major news. There's no doubt about that, but. People are talking about it, are really talking about it, and are quite disappointed about it, because we know that Pakistan doesn't have the strongest batting lineup. Yes, there's Mohammad Hafiz, who played brilliantly against England in England, but Babar Azam, the kind of form that he's been in, I mean, he's the second best T20 batsman in the world. To lose him, I mean, in a series like this is very disappointing.
Absolutely, Ali. I'll have to agree with him, with you, because he's just a fantastic player, not just for Pakistan but world over. He's done so well in last couple of years. He was better than even Virat Kohli, and that says a lot about him and how he's improved his game, how naturally talented he is, how hard he's worked. And if I use a cliche, I could say that he's put a higher price tag on his wicket, which is also a good thing. Has been a good thing for him, and has he's caught everyone's eye, the world's eye. And he's so good to watch. His cover drive, the way he conducts himself, the way he plays in the V, the way he's very composed, even if wickets are falling around him. It shows that he is by far Pakistan's best batsman. And Pakistan, by the way, have got some good batsmen in Azhar Ali when you're talking about test matches. We've got Abid Ali, who's new, but he's shown some class, So we've got some good batsmen. There's Imam, but he seems a class apart. So it's very unfortunate that, and on a very important tour like the New Zealand, where the tracks are difficult, there is some seam and swing, and of course there's some steep bounce at times against their attack, which is very potent, with Wagner, Saudi, and Bolt, and Ferguson's now injured, but they've still got great backup. So they've got a potent attack. So we will miss him sorely, not only in the T20s, but also the test matches where Babar has shown that he's consistently improving in the longer format. So that's a big blow. But the silver lining for me, as they say, there's always a silver lining. And for me, the silver lining would be that I would get to see Shadab lead in the T20s. We saw him in the PSL, and as a leader, I thought he was leading really well, leading from the front. Often on the balcony, I would get together with other commentators, in particular with Ramiz Raja. We've discussed how well he's playing under pressure. So for me, as a cricket expert, as a cricket commentator, it'll be fantastic to see how well he responds when he's under the cosh, when he's the chips are down, and also if the chips are up. So it'd be very interesting to see. But like Ali mentioned, we're not even sure if Shadab is going to be fit, but I just hope to I hope to God that he is, so we don't have a double blow, with the captain and vice captain both being unfit and out of the team. But it's not going to be not going to be an easy series, like we have been talking about it. I mean, the tracks and the side, the quality of the side. 15 straight wins for New Zealand in test matches on the trot. So it's not an easy side, and these are big blows,
Right,
especially
we'll
Babar
get back
Azam
to
throws
Shadab
big
because it's an
punches.
interesting point to watch Shadab Khan lead. He's already captained Islamabad United. He batted up the order, and he did rather well. So it'll be interesting to see how he captains and where he bats. So a lot to look forward to. We'll talk about Shadab, but first the news. Just a little bit about the New Zealanders, because you already said that they don't have Kane Williamson for the first game.
Yeah.
That's a big blow. Although they do have other gun players like Phillips, Guptill, and then many others, and they don't have Lockie Ferguson, who's their right now probably their best T20 fast bowler. He's rapid. I mean, even Kieran Pollard was saying the other day that Ferguson is very, very quick. So the fact that he's not there will give the Pakistani batsmen, a little bit of breathing room. They'll breathe a sigh of relief knowing that a guy who bowls at 150 clicks isn't playing.
Well, it's a huge sigh of relief, some sort of relief that Pakistan is getting. They're getting a bit of a breather, because I think Lockie Ferguson at this moment of time is the most underrated one-day bowler in the world. He's been phenomenal. You go back to the World Cup, where he actually helped in New Zealand actually to the World Cup final, and also he played his part in that final too. And he's been so consistent there since then, bowling above 150, 55 clicks. He's been, extremely, he's been tear away. He's very good. He's extremely good on these decks too. So he's a big blow for them. I mean, but they've got so many other big guns. I mean, Mitchell Santner, I believe, will be leading the side too. And they've got really, really powerful team. They've got the Guptill is over there. I think Blundell is also will be there too. Mitchell Santner will be there. Tim Southee will be there too. Trent Bolt will be there. So they've got an extremely good team. And playing on the likes of playing in Napier, India, Hamilton, which they know extremely well, and Auckland, Eden Park, which is a small ground. They knew these grounds inside out. They're going to be a very tough proposition. And last time when Pakistan went, Pakistan won 2-1. So they'll want some revenge for that, considering Pakistan beat them last time out.
Leena, Haris Rauf made a statement, and he said that he's just looking to improve day by day. He doesn't want to compromise on his pace and aggression, but he looked to be accurate. Now, in New Zealand, the grounds are quite small, so you do have to be ruthlessly accurate. So that's something that the bowlers, I'm sure will be mindful of, and I'm sure Waqar has had a chat with them about the ground, the dimensions, the pitches, and all that. So we've talked about Pakistan's batting lineup and the fact that they may struggle against the New Zealand bowlers, but what about the Pakistani bowlers? Yes, bowling is their strength, but let's face it, the last time Pakistan were in New Zealand when Sarfaraz was captaining, that was a more experienced, stronger bowling attack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. When you talk about Pakistan as a team, our bowling always has been our strength, and so it was the last time, and I think it might be this time also. But with young guns like Haris Rauf, I mean, I'm really happy that he's not going to be compromising on his pace. But the other thing I would also want him to not lose track of is to use use the cutters well, the slower delivery, the knuckle balls, the back of the hand deliveries. Those are very important in the shorter format T20s, because you've got to have that variety. If you're just going to be bowling fast, you are going to be going to the boundary as quickly as you're going to be bowling. But if you want to mix it up nicely, you are going to have some variation with a slower ball or a knuckle ball or the back of the hand that Waqar used to bowl so well himself. Then of course, your bouncer or your couple of your really fast deliveries in the over are going to be the surprise factor for the batsman, or your slower balls could be the surprise factor. So you've got to mix them up. Other than him, of course, we've got Shaheen, who's improved leaps and bounds and bowls up to 140, 145 sometimes. So he's pretty fast also. So we've got a good bowling attack in the shorter format. And then we got a couple of good spinners. Recently, we saw that
I
Usman
think
Qadir has
I think when
really
you talk about fast bowlers, yes, we've talked about Shaheen and Haris Rauf we just mentioned, but Wahab also needs to be discussed because Ali Mehdi,
Yeah.
Wahab has, I mean, sort of a born-again fast bowler. He's been in and out of the side, and that's naturally upset him quite a lot. But over the last year, a couple of years, in fact, he's matured quite a bit. And lately in the last few games that Pakistan have played, his experience has come to the fore. He bowled very well against England in the second last over. I remember it was a match-winning spell that he bowled. So Pakistan will be relying heavily on Wahab, and he hasn't lost his pace even as he's gotten older.
Well, if there's any experience that we have in the bowling department is Wahab Riaz. You need that experience to actually mentor and guide the other speedsters too, and at the same time perform extremely well. I think Wahab Riaz has been very good over the past 1 year. I mean, especially in T20 cricket. T20, as you mentioned, in the last match in the Vitality series against England, he was exceptional. He helped Pakistan draw that series against England too. He did okay in the PSL. Unfortunately, Peshawar didn't go beyond the eliminator too, but he's done very well, and he showed some leadership skills which actually help his bowling. So I think he's been bowling very well, bowling in the right areas, but he is also going to help the likes of Haris Rauf, who's still who's still very, very raw, and also Shaheen, who's been our best bowler till now.
And the spinners, Shadab, the captain, the stand-in captain, will play a very important role. He's bowled in New Zealand before and he hasn't done badly. And then Imad Wasim, who bowls in the power play and outside the power play. And he's one of the best T20 bowlers in the world. He's in the top 10. So Pakistan will be relying quite heavily on their two main spinners. Leena.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the spinners are good. As you said, Imad's got a lot of quality. He's got experience. He does bowl well up front in the power plays. But we'll have to see how well he adjusts on these wickets. Also, Usman Qadir, we'll have to see how well he does on these wickets. But coming back to Wahab, I do agree that he's done wonderfully well in the past couple of years. He's led the bowling attacks. He's done well for Peshawar. He's done well for Pakistan. He's a born-again fast bowler, as you said. And also another thing I'd like to add with Wahab is that his attitude is something I really like. He's always smiling, always very relaxed. That helps the other younger fast bowlers. He stands on mid off, so he can easily come and give them a piece of advice. He's always willing to do that and give them a pat on the back. With a young captain, that is very important. The senior bowler, taking the charge with the younger bowlers and giving them advice, and that, just put your arm around them sometimes, or just, whisper something funny in their ear so they get relaxed. That's very important for Pakistan. And the spinners are going to be important. As we know, these, the foreign players, they don't often play the spinners that well. Williamson, of course, is an exception with the with that rule. He's going to be coming back in the second match, so it'll be interesting. Pakistan does have a really nice attack, but I will be still worried about our batting. Coming back to batting, if Pakistan can put up good runs, I mean, the bowling is always going to trouble any side in the world. But then the third aspect, which we often don't discuss and ignore, is going to be the catching. When your fast bowlers are bowling well, the wicket keeper and the slips are like his mothers, like two, three mothers, yeah. And if your mother doesn't support you, then often, you're going to be a disheartened individual in life. So similarly, if your keeper and your slips keeps dropping your catches, you are not going to be picking up those essential wickets. So I feel the slip fielding is and the fielding and on point, with a little bit of bounce, that's going to be very important. The catches are going to be very important also.
Well, there's inexperience in the batting lineup as well. I mean, think of Khushdil, even think of Iftikhar Ahmed, who hasn't played for that long at this level. Yes, he played in Australia and he played a few good knocks, but Pakistan's power hitting will really be under the scanner here. So I worry. I mean, no Fakhar Zaman, who gave them solid starts in New Zealand up front. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against this Kiwi attack.
I think the one department which we've been relatively weak compared to all the other departments, I think we've been exceptional, is the area of pitch hitting too. The pitch hitting is something where probably Fakhar Zaman has done well, but other than that, you don't have.
Well, Hafiz did very well. I thought he batted brilliantly in England. He was aggressive, innovative. It's almost as if, I mean, we talked about Wahab Riaz being a born again fast bowler. It's also as if Hafiz has found a new lease of life, and the more Ramiz Raja gets after him, the better he performs.
We want Ramiz Raja
Sort of like a Sanjay Manjrekar, Jadeja kind of thing going on there.
You want Ramiz Raja to get under his skin, because the best thing about Hafiz over the years is that the more you get after him, the more you're critical of him, the better he performs. I mean, he loves giving it to, he loves giving back the flack which he gets most of the time. So I think he was exceptional in the recently concluded series against England. In fact, he was the player of the series. So I think he needs to continue that good form, having that experience. But other than that, in the pitch hitting department, we've got the legs. We need Khushdil to bat up. I think Khushdil, people, they tend to make him bat lower down the order. You want him to come up, with no Babar Azam, probably bring him at number 4, number 5. And at the same time, I believe they're going to open with Mohammad Rizwan and Abdullah Shafiq. If they do that and have this, and they have Haider Ali probably at number 3. You then have Hafiz, and then you'd want a lot on Coach Dil Shah. So there's going to be a lot of impetus, or there's going to be a lot of emphasis on him, and I think he really needs to perform along with the other batsmen like Imad Wasim in the pitch hitting department.
Well, that's a very inexperienced opening department, but what choice do Pakistan have? Just finally, before we move to our next topic, the women in South Africa, just before we move on to that, Ali Mehdi reminded me, Haider Ali. Now, we all saw what he did for Peshawar Zalmi, and then he also played for Pakistan. He scored a 50 against England. A fantastic young talent, Leena. Reminds me a little bit of Imran Nazir, but let's hope he doesn't lose his focus and fall by the wayside, because that boy can do a lot for Pakistan going forward, not just in T20 cricket, but once he develops his game further, maybe in the longest format in the future.
Absolutely agreed, Ali. And before I go talk about Haider Ali, just a word about Hafiz. I think he's been batting really well. And must not forget that Ramiz Raja is the one who gave him the name Professor, which has become so famous. So I can understand where Ramiz is coming from, because his point is that if we have these golden oldies in the side with Shoaib Malik and Hafiz, the youngsters, it's going to take a lot of time for youngsters to make their way into Pakistan cricket, which is what I agree with him. But with this, the current form that Hafiz has, I mean, there's no way we can drop him. So now let's talk about Haider Ali. I think he's a great talent. But I also feel that he has to be dealt with really, cleverly by the management, by the Pakistan Cricket Board. You can't sort of bind him. There was this tweet by Usman Samiuddin the other day, which kind of made fun of the fact that the management was trying to tell him to put a higher price tag on his wicket, and once he hits a boundary, to then take a single or a double to get off strike. But the thing is, I agree with one part of the management, which is to put a higher price tag on his wicket. You see, if he makes 8 runs, hits 2 smashing boundaries, and then gets out, it's no use for Pakistan. But he makes a good 35-40 in the limited over form. That's great for Pakistan. But the second point I do agree with Usman is that you can't curb his natural tendencies, and his natural tendency is to hit and see the ball, hit the ball kind of tendency. So we'll have to. There's a fine line there, and we'll have to tread upon it and then make the right decisions. And he's a very important player, and so is Pushdil and Abdullah Shafiq, and these players are very important, and their strike rates are very important. The strike rates of all these players have to be, say, about 140 at least, in my opinion, and the other players could be around 130. So the strike
Right.
rates have become very important in this shorter format, and that'll be very interesting, because if they have that kind of strike rate, Pakistan will always end up on 180 runs, and that'll be so easy to defend. Not, I mean, so easy, but it will not be as difficult as, say, defending at 130.
Let's move on now to the women's cricket team who will be in South Africa in January. It's good to see that the women are playing lots of cricket now. They're going to South Africa. South Africa have a good have a good cricket team. So I mean, the more exposure, the more international exposure these girls get, the better they'll become. And Leena, I'm glad to see that now there seems to be more focus on women's cricket now. Yes, there's been women's cricket for a long time, but they haven't gotten the attention and exposure that they've deserved. I mean, when you look at England and Australia, yes, I guess it's unfair to compare England and Australia to Pakistan, but at least efforts are being made to bring this to the public's consciousness, to bring Pakistani female cricket to the public's consciousness. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, credit to PCB. This is second tour in 2 years, and they went to South Africa in 2019 also, and it was a good tour for them. And in 2 years, this is the second tour. So well done to PCB. So for exposing the girls and sending them on tours, I would have to agree with you. This has to even be better. There has to be more tours and more A tours for the girls. Yep, absolutely agreed that we cannot compare ourselves to, say, England or Australia, but we'll have to sort of take take their toe, as they say, and give them more exposure, more tours. But there's the Pakistani girls. There's some very good girls in these very talented young women in this side. I mean, there are the two Javerias. There's Nida Dar. There's the captain Bisma. There's the fast bowler, the Mir girl. She's Diana Mir. So see, there's a lot of talent, and there's some good talent coming in. I would say that Pakistan Cricket Board, who's done so well recently with the women, needs to explore more on the northern side of our country to get more fast bowlers in, and from the central Punjab area and Karachi and all those areas to get more batsmen in. So it can be done systematically, but I feel that Pakistan Cricket Board is doing a good job right now. Last couple of years, and the girls are they have a foreign coach, so they're paying some attention. The central contracts have come in, So it's going to be an interesting tour, and I'll definitely keep an eye on that tour and see how which girls are doing well, who's improving, who's gone a little down. The captaincy is pretty interesting. I like Bisma as a captain. She's pretty relaxed, chilled. So and the girls are so well spoken. I mean, this great to see. I mean, they know, because when you can speak well, that means you're thinking well. So that's a good point for me.
And Ali, again, I think it's very important that the media helps. You try to make a concerted effort to give them attention and in turn turn them into stars. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, that even in men's cricket, right, that star power still isn't there, what we saw in the 90s, where Wasim Akram was a superstar. Imran Khan before that was in a league of his own. But if you just look at the 90s, I mean, let's just talk about mortals here. You know, so there were stars. Even Syed Afridi is still a mega hit, a mega star. The girls need a little bit of help. I think it's high time that the media gives them the attention that they deserve and promote them as much as they can. And if they do that, they'll get better at cricket.
Well, I think the best thing about this administration is that they're working very hard on the women's cricket team. I mean, ever since this administration has come, we've had a home series against the West Indies. The girls are getting very good exposure. There's talks of them also having a T20 League, you know, in the future too. At the same time, you know, they're getting a good exposure too. They're going to South Africa too. You have a new captain, Bisma Maruf, has been fabulous. She's been exceptional till now. So the women's team has made a lot of good strides. They're actually doing very well right now, and it's good that the PCB is giving them a lot of coverage. Yes, it takes baby steps too, but I think that the women's cricket in Pakistan is headed in the right direction.
Let's hope so. It looks like it. Let's hope this momentum continues. We're going to move on now to the Sri Lankan T20 League. The final is happening tonight, and the Gaul Gladiators are in the final against Jaffna. And we have a little clip. Well, before we get to that clip, this is coming to you live. Jaffna are batting first. This is the final of the Lankan Premier League 2020. Two fantastic teams. They played brilliantly in the semi-final. And it's very important that in a final, of course, nerves will be there. There'll be a lot of nervous energy. So it's important for one of the teams to get off to a good start and continue with that momentum. That was a wonderfully timed boundary there through the covers. Before we continue to talk about this, we have a little clip from the Gaul Gladiators captain. This is what he had to say about the final.
Bhanuka, Gaul Gladiators are now into the final facing Jaffna Stallions. What would be your message to the fans in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, because there have been massive support for Gaul Gladiators from both the countries?
See, it's a privilege for me to captain the side after the great Syed Afridi left the country. But I took it as a challenge, and I think it's, you know, fortunes have changed on us, and we, being underdogs, we have come to the finals now. But as I promised the fans before, we are holding the fort, and we are going to give our best shot today as well.
Jaffna have been they've got upper hand as far as the group stage goes, but knockout stages are always tricky. So do you think that it's a 50-50 game for both the parties?
See, it depends. I would say the team that does least number of mistakes would win the game. And so far, Gaul Gladiators have been really good. So we had a quarter-final, a semi-final and a final to play. But both occasions in the quarters and semi-finals, I think we've been under a lot of pressure, but we managed it well to come to the finals.
So what are your expectations? Do you think that now that the team is clicking collectively, Gaul Gladiators are now in a much better position? Because previously there were individual performances.
Yeah, see, for us to win, we have seen it's a collective, it has been a collective performance. Individual performance does matter, but it has never won us games. So thanks to all the juniors who have supported me and the staff, I think we have a great chance of clinching title.
That was the Gaul Gladiators skipper speaking ahead of the final. Ali Mehdi, I don't know about you, but I've quite enjoyed this Lanka Premier League. Now this is the final game tonight. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But we've seen some very attractive cricket, and that's what you want to see in a T20 tournament.
I think it's been an exceptional tournament over here at Hanbantota. I mean, having all the matches over there. But I think that really Cinderella story, or you could say a story is of Gol Gladiators, how they were completely out of the tournament. They finished fourth in the league. They actually only won 2 of their 8 matches too, and for them to actually make the final has been brilliant. They beat this Colombo in the semi-finals and then just nicked it into the final, and playing against probably the most informed team, Jaffna Stallions. I mean, it's been excellent. I mean, there's been star power on both sides. You know, you're on Gol Gladiators. You have a good Pakistan contingent. 3 players playing SN Anis. Azam Khan is playing to Mohammad Amir, is playing to Guna Thalikas. They've been led very well by their captain Raja Pakse. And on the other side, you've got a very good team in Pereira. So I think it's going to be a very closely fought final, and may the best team win.
As I said, we've seen good competitive cricket. One team has just easily gotten to the final. They got there in style. Another had to struggle to get there, and that's what we often see in tournaments, in big tournaments. So it'll make for very interesting viewing.
Yeah, the Gol Gladiators are the same management as Quetta Gladiators, so they are sides which are managed really well. As you've seen in the Pakistan Cricket League, they always are managed so well by Nadeem and Nadeem Khan Saab and Nadeem Umar Saab and Moin Khan, that they always sort of struggle, and somehow towards the end they will always reach the the semi-finals or the finals. Same with the Gol Gladiators. I mean, like you said, they were lagging behind initially, but they kept at it, kept coming at their oppositions. Finally, they reached a position where they're in the final. And today, it'll be very interesting for me to see how Azam Khan plays. He is one I really want to keep an eye on for the future for Pakistani one, because he's someone who can wicket keep, he can power hit. He's got a lot of power. He wants to become fitter. His own words, by his own admission, he said, I don't want to be in the Pakistan team this year. I want to come a little later when I get fitter. So he's someone who wants to get fitter. There's a lot of natural talent. There is a lot of guidance, of course, from Moin Khan. So he's someone who I will keep an eye on. And of course, Amir has bowled exceptionally well this tournament. He's taken 5 wickets. He's been economical, and he's bowled really well. He does bowl really well with a white ball nowadays. He's not the same bowler in test matches, and of course he's now also retired, which I'm not too happy about, but he has retired from the test matches. But these 2 players and then the Sri Lankan players, I mean, this be a very, very keen, interesting final to go. And like you said, the Jaffna boys are in good form. They've done pretty, steady, good form throughout the tournament. It's been a good tournament. You've seen centuries from Evans. So it's just some good 5-wicket haul from Amir. Good wickets, good runs. Not 120, 130s, but 170, 80s. So it's been a very good effort by the Sri Lankan board. I'd like to commend them, and in these circumstances, the COVID-19 situation, they've done really well. I mean, hasn't been any negative publicity as far as this tournament is concerned. It's been a nice, short and sweet tournament. I mean, I detest it when these leagues go on for a month and a half, and you know which league I'm talking about. Although I watched that also. But I hate it when they go on for like 2 months, month and a half. These nice, short and sweet leagues, such entertaining cricket, new talent coming in. I think it's fantastic. And like you said, may the best team win today. I would certainly be favoring the Gaul team, the Gaul Gladiators, because here I always, favor the Quetta Gladiators. So for me, they're the team in Shah.
Well, Leena, we'll let you go so you can enjoy the final. Thank you very much for being with us, Leena, Moin, Aziz. We've come to the end of our first segment. Thank you very much for being with us. Ali, Mehdi, stay right there, because when we come back, we're going to get your analysis on the UEFA Champions League. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's time now to talk about the UEFA Champions League. We'll be focusing on the round of 16. The draw is out. You can see the draw there on your screen. The round of 16 draw with Ali Mehdi. Ali, Some interesting games coming up, particularly PSG and Barcelona. That should be exciting.
Well, you've got some real mouth-watering ties over here. I think the pick of the bunch is the Barcelona and PSG because there's a lot of history in this game. You go back to 2017 when both of these teams met and Barcelona reversed a 4-1 deficit, 4-0 deficit when they came back storming to win 6-1 in Barcelona and actually went to the quarterfinals. Other than that, you have Neymar, who's now going to be playing for PSG against his former team too. Barcelona not in the frame of mind right now, not playing very well, finished second in the group to Juventus, will be playing against Paris. So I think that's a one big match to actually look forward to in respects to the other matches.
Chelsea and Atletico. I mean, I think Chelsea have done so well because they've picked so well. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go in the round of 16.
Well, Chelsea have been phenomenal in the Champions League too. They've finished, on top of their group. They've actually steamrolled all their oppositions except for one. They finished with 16 points too. Giroud has actually had a phenomenal tournament till now, and it's actually unfortunate for them.
He was very special again last night.
Yeah, he actually got a goal against Wolves. Unfortunately, they lost, but in the Champions League they've been brilliant. Very unlucky to get a team to get pitted against a team of Atletico Madrid's quality. Atletico Madrid, the best dark horses of the tournament of the past 10 years, made 2 finals, made multiple semi-finals too, did even well last year, knocked out the previous champions Liverpool too. So I think Atletico, they've got a very tough team against Lampard's team is going to have a tough task against Simeone's Atletico Madrid, who know how to do well and go deep in this tournament.
And the big L's, Liverpool and Leipzig. That should be interesting.
That should
be very fun to watch.
That should be interesting too because Liverpool have actually looked very good. They've finished on top of their group too, but they're coming up against the team who actually dumped out Manchester United from the Champions League, Leipzig. They made it to the semi-finals last year, and they've only come into being since 2009.
A much improved team.
Much improved team. They've got a phenomenal team. They've got Angelino up front. They've got Apoyenko in their defense too. Very strong midfield too. So they actually could cause problems to Liverpool, who at right now have a lot of problems in terms of injuries, players who've actually succumbed to COVID-19, who've actually been unwell too. So it'll be interesting to see how Klopp will be faring against them in February right now. But look, Leipzig are the dark horses. They removed Manchester City from the tournament last year. They could cause problems for Liverpool in February.
What about Man City?
Man City have actually been pitted against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Borussia Mönchengladbach always somehow the other find Manchester City. They actually found them in the group stages for a couple of seasons. They thought they'd avoid them, but then once again they've gotten them in the round of 16. They actually finished second in their group to Real Madrid, and they've done okay, but I think Manchester City will have enough power to get through them.
In your opinion, I mean, going deeper into the Champions League, who do you see doing really well and coming out on top? Ali Mehdi?
It has to be Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are, the defending champions. They've got them phenomenal in this tournament. They won last year comprehensively. They got 16 points this time. They've been pitted against Lazio, who I think they will take care of. They've got a lot of stealth in that team. They've got a lot of power in that team too. I can't see anybody getting through Bayern Munich. But other than that, you have other dark horses. You have the 13-time champions Real Madrid, who actually there was a chance they wouldn't get through. They're playing Atalanta too. I think they should get through Atalanta. Atalanta did well to make it to the round of 16 this year. Other than that, other teams like Sevilla, the last year Europa League winners, they are also there, but they are playing against a very strong team in the form of Dortmund, who've got the most informed striker and Eric Haaland too. So that will be very difficult. Other than that, we've forgotten about Porto versus Juventus, Mr. Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo. The one team he hasn't still won the Champions League with is Juventus. Won it once with Manchester United, won it 4 times with Real Madrid. He really wants to win again with Juventus, and he's been pitted up against Porto. So I think Juventus are also a very strong team, and you cannot count them out, and they'll be playing Porto too. So I mean, you've got a lot of good teams, and then at the same time, but I actually do feel that Bayern Munich are the real favorites to win this competition.
Concise and precise from Mr. Ali Mehdi. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Ali. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Now, before we come to an end, our our little roundup that we always do, topics that we couldn't really get to because of a lack of time. But first, cricket, Stephen Smith, the great Australian batsman Stephen Smith, leads the table as the #1 test batsman, and I'm sure he'll go brilliantly against the Indians. Getting Smith out in the kind of form that he's in is almost impossible. Virat Kohli jumps one place to secure the #2 spot. Williamson drops to the 3rd spot, even though he made a brilliant 250 against the West Indians in the first test match. Pat Cummins is on top as the #1 test bowler. We'll see him in action in the test series against India. England's Stuart Broad on #3 and is at #3 in the bowlers test ranking, Stuart Broad. And secondly, more cricket. ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2022. The tournament will consist of 31 matches, and the first match will be played on the 4th of March, and the tournament will come to an end on the 3rd of April. That's the upcoming Women's World Cup. And then we have the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. We've been seeing the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy live on PTV Sports. Northern are up against Sindh. Northern's second innings is underway, and Sindh declared their innings on a massive 514 for 8. And then finally, we have squash, the National Junior Squash Championship 2020. The semi-finals were held today at Muzaf Squash Complex. Zaman and Horeria reached the final of the under-13 category. Anas Shah will face Yasin in the under-15 final, and Zainab Khan will face Myra in the women's under-19 final. So that was our final sports roundup. We've now come to the end of the program. Thank you very much for watching Sports Extra. See you next time. Bye-bye.